Ted Lyon, Managing Director, Iron and Steel with Hatch Associates. It's nice to see you at this conference in New York.
It's a pleasure to be here.
You've been in and around the manufacturing industry for quite a while, your whole career. What strikes you now as we see these plants begin to modernize compared to what we saw just a few decades ago?
Well, I think for competitiveness across the manufacturing front in the United States, we have to always be innovative and take advantage of the latest technology. If we don't do it, somebody else will. If we don't do it domestically, somebody else domestically will. Certainly, somebody else internationally will. So it's just a matter of competitiveness and taking advantage of our value add in terms of innovation and technology.
And how many manufacturers are embracing this idea, would you say?
I think all manufacturers that want to be in business 10 or 20 years from now better be embracing the concept of innovation and advanced manufacturing skills.
And what is it about digital technologies that are changing the process? Give me an example how a certain technology will work in the manufacturing process and how it grinds out efficiencies that weren't there.
Well, I think the concept of digitalization applies to manufacturing the same way it has already applied to our personal lives. If you take a snapshot of your life 10 years ago without an iPhone or a Samsung Android device, it's completely different. We as individuals have embraced that. Manufacturing has been much slower to embrace that, but I see in the very near future, for competitiveness reasons, and to take advantage of the technology and the asymptotic and exponential growth in manufacturing innovation, we have to take advantage of digitalization.
One interesting aspect of that digitalization is the predictive technology, where you actually have a device that's able to tell you the piece of equipment is going to need some change. Is that in wide use right now, that predictive technology?
No, and I think that's the next step in automation and digitalization. Digitalization is all about taking advantage of the data that already exists. Modern high-end automobile generates 25 gigabytes of data an hour. Only maybe 1% of that is used. And we have tremendous opportunity to use the data that's already available if we can network it to common platforms in an open environment. And by leveraging that data, we can now begin to predict failures and get better reliability, better productivity, and better performance out of our manufacturing assets.
And I would assume too, some of this digitalization helps along the supply chain process in terms of just becoming better at seeing where products are in the pipeline, where raw materials are coming in, and the demand factor.
Absolutely. In fact, I think that's all tied in one continuous line. Certainly supply chain, but we even have problems inside our manufacturing plants, from iron ore pelletizing to coke making to iron making to steel making. Well, we're going to tie those together certainly through digital concepts, but we can also go back and tie plants together on an interplant basis and an intraplant basis. So a remote coke plant, a remote iron ore mine, a remote pellet plant becomes virtually all part of the same manufacturing process as the steel mill.
What are some of the biggest hurdles for these manufacturers before they implement these technologies?
Well, the best thing to do is build a new plant and incorporate it. It's much more difficult to upgrade an existing facility, but you have to start somewhere. So I would take small incremental steps, get small wins add up to big wins, and eventually you're there, but you have to start somewhere. The big challenge is for some of the older facilities that have to invest in the level 0 sensors and actuators and devices that will ultimately be networked into the cloud and into the platforms that are necessary for digitalization.
Ted Lyon, it's been great chatting with you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.